Imagine you are tasked with building a brand new city from scratch. You need perfect roads, a working sewage system, and identical building materials for thousands of people. Now, imagine trying to do all of that 4,500 years ago without a single computer, bulldozer, or modern tool. Sounds impossible, right? But they actually pulled it off. Welcome to the marvel of the ancient world. Welcome to Mohenjo-Daro. Instead of just throwing houses wherever they felt like it, the people of the Harappan civilization were absolute masters of urban planning. They divided the city of Mohenjo-Daro into two distinct sections. First, you had the Citadel. This was a smaller, elevated area built on massive mud brick platforms and surrounded by heavy protective walls. Second, you had the lower town, which was much larger, where the general population lived. It was also walled and built on its own raised platforms. Think about the sheer manpower this required. Before a single house was built, they had to mobilize thousands of laborers just to construct these massive foundation platforms. And here is a mind-blowing detail. Every single brick used in this city, and actually throughout the entire Harappan Empire, was completely standardized. They all shared the exact same ratio of length, breadth, and height. That is a level of quality control that even modern construction companies struggle with today. But the absolute genius of Mohenjo-Daro lies hidden right under the dirt, their drainage system. Today, when we build a new neighborhood, we usually build the houses first and then tear up the roads later to lay the plumbing. The Harappans did the exact opposite. They laid out the streets and drains first in a perfect grid pattern intersecting at right angles. Then, they carefully built the houses around them. Every single house had to have at least one wall touching the street so that the home's wastewater could flow seamlessly into the main street drains. Let's step inside one of these houses in the lower town. At the center of the home, you would find a large open courtyard. This was the main hub for cooking and weaving, especially during the brutally hot and dry summers. But the Harappans were fiercely protective of their privacy. If you walked past the main entrance of a house, it was angled so you couldn't see directly into the courtyard. And if you looked at the ground level walls from the street, not a single window, complete, absolute privacy. Inside, every house had its own brick-paved bathroom connected directly to the street drains. Many houses even had staircases leading to a second floor or a flat roof. And fresh water was never an issue. Historians estimate there were a staggering 700 freshwater wells scattered across Mohenjo-Daro. Now, let's leave the residential lower town and walk up the steps to the Citadel. This high ground was strictly reserved for massive public structures. There was a giant warehouse for storing goods, and the most iconic, breathtaking structure of all, the Great Bath. Imagine a massive rectangular tank surrounded by a beautiful pillared corridor. It had sets of stairs leading down into the water on the north and south sides. To keep the water from leaking out, they made it completely watertight using perfectly fitted bricks and a special gypsum mortar. There were rooms on three sides of the bath, one containing a massive well to constantly supply fresh water and a huge drain to empty it out when needed. Right next door was a smaller building with 8 private bathrooms, all connecting to a central corridor drain. Why build such a magnificent pool? Scholars believe the Great Bath wasn't just for cooling off on a hot summer afternoon. Given its unique structure and location on the Citadel, it was highly likely used for special, sacred ritual bathing. And that is the true magic of Mohenjo-Daro. When we think of ancient history, we usually picture simple people living in rough mud huts. But 4.5 millennia ago, the Harappans were designing grid system roads, indoor plumbing, perfectly standardized architecture, and massive public baths. They weren't just surviving the ancient world, they were engineering the future.